Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Inevitable Showdown missions and how you can complete them in DBZ Dokkan Battle. Now the first mission we'll be tackling is going to be the Fusion mission, which requires us to use 6 fusion characters. You cannot use items with any of these challenges, so you can't use any of the support items, but you can use support memories. Support memories do not count, so you can use support memories, which does obviously make life a little bit easier. But yeah, you can use support memories. There are a couple missions, so those missions are to do the event with fusion characters, to do the event with Potara characters, to do the event with Majin Power characters in just under like a couple turns. Then the next one is to do it with, or under 15 turns. Next one is to do it with, I believe, full physical team, so a team of 6 physical characters. And then obviously we have one mission to complete everything in under 11 turns. Now we will be completing the 11 turn mission with the fusion category team. So if you are someone that is looking for a team to do that, this is the team to go for it. Now in terms of like the overall difficulty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a relatively full run, like just bits and pieces of a full run against Majin Buu with the fusion team, talking through the phases just so you can understand a bit better the fight, and then we'll just kind of show you the team and a couple tidbits from all of the other challenges. Everything will be time-stamped down below, so if you need any more help you can obviously let me know. Now in terms of the fight itself, it is against Absorption Majin Buu, and it starts with, well, it has 5 phases. It starts with a physical power Absorption Buu, then moves into a strength version, then from there moves back to a physical version, then into a tech version, then into the final strength version. Now the first 2 phases, the physical and the strength, are quite intense. They are quite, how can I say, like very, very, very intense little like stages. They're quite tough. The units hit relatively hard, but they are probably, I would say, the most tanky. They're definitely the most tanky phases of this fight. So they're 100% the most tanky out of all the fights, and that of course is quite challenging, especially when you're looking at speed. Trying to get through those phases is super important. Now Majin Buu hits relatively hard. I think he hits at around the 400 to 500k mark, and I think overall he is a pretty decent unit to take on. I think he has 1.8 million, give or take, in terms of his super attack damage, which I think that's something that you're going to need. And yeah, just in general, I think for the most part it's a pretty difficult fight. Like, I would not say it is an extensively easy fight in any way, shape or form. Of course, to each their own. I think, like, for me, there's definitely like an appeal to these Inevitable Showdown missions, but you do also have to understand that yes, the Inevitable Showdown missions are fun, but they're not super duper rewarding overall. What is quite challenging around this fight that I think is interesting comparative to some more traditional fights, or potentially, like, in general, more, how can I say, other red zones, is basically for me, like, the concept of, I would say, like, in general, how good like how good your team does is largely determined on damage. But with Buu, he's just very, very tough. So I think for me, like one thing I'll say is I do find that Buu, and in general like this fight, is a very much more a test of damage than it is anything else. And I think that's really where I think things become very, very difficult. Because I think, like, for me, overall, I'd have to say that, like, the concept of, finishing these missions is quite challenging. And I think a lot of players probably won't like that because it's tough and the rewards are very minimal. If you do want to take it on, it's all good. So let's talk about the Buu fight. Like I said, it consists of 5 phases. The first phase, he seals a random unit. Then obviously, you have like some very, very, very straightforward kind of like team running and everything, which I think is more than fine. He then locks you in place. He also does a set amount of damage per turn, which can be quite frustrating overall. So you do need to watch out for that. It can't kill you, but it does just give you issues. The phases after the second phase, after the strength phase, do drop down like a lot in terms of difficulty. So they do tend to drop down quite a bit in terms of difficulty. And I think, like, for me overall, that's definitely something that's, how can I say, definitely something that's good. Like, I would say, if you can get past the first couple turns, then once you get to that, like, tech, Bukalo phase, then I think, like, generally speaking, you sit in a pretty good position. At least that's, what I think, at least. So yeah, I would definitely say that is like 100% a like upturn in this. But yeah, so the fusion team I would say is not bad. I think the fusion team is pretty decent in general right now. It does need 1 or 2 tweaks, I think, in terms of lead and that, but it's a pretty good team. It's a team that gets the job done. Obviously, we have a very strong team. I will say the physical Goku and Vegeta are very good. I think it'll be good for a lot of our challenges, especially the physical one. And yeah, I would have to say overall, for me at least, on the premise of things, I would say this team doesn't have a lot of room for tweaking. I think, like, Fusion's got good characters, but it's still kind of limited. And I think it's something to consider when you are obviously taking on this event, that realistically speaking, your roster choices are going to be severely limited depending on the challenge of the events that you're facing. So definitely try to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so let's see. Overall, I would have to say, for me, on the surface level of things, I'm pretty happy with Fusion. I think the hardest challenge is definitely the physical one, although I think the Majin Power one is pretty challenging. What we'll do next is we will take on the Potara challenge. That's also a relatively easy one. For this one, you also only need 4 characters that are Potara, so that does technically make things a little bit easier overall for people. I think it does make things a bit easier. There's no real kind of like support memory though for Fusion, for Potara. So in that case, I would kind of suggest maybe considering going with the yellow Bulma, because the heal and everything I think could be quite valuable. But yeah, Potara also was relatively easy. We have Strength Kefla, we have Int Vegeta with his buff that's going on right now. We've got just, some pretty good units. Strength Vegeta, Strength everything. Like, I think this team is pretty good. I think this team does its job. We also have the Goku Blue and Vegeta Blue, the Blue Boys, as people, I would say disaffectionately call them. And then obviously we have, the tech Vegeta transforming unit, who actually does pretty well here, all things considered. Does some really nice damage, which I think overall is really good. The Strength Kevlar does a great job as well. And yeah, in general, I'd say the team is actually pretty capable. Once you get going, you're really quite good. Like you're really quite sorted out. So I didn't feel the need to, like, how can I say, press the agenda too much. It was a very strong defensive team. Had quite a few heals. I had quite a lot of really good stuff that was going that I think, for me at least, I found to be incredibly good and incredibly productive. So I do think the team ran very smoothly. I think the team was good. And yeah, I didn't really have any issues with anything. So I think overall for me, Potara was pretty cool. Obviously, it's going to depend on your box. I will say the Int, Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta did a great job, obviously with their buff, but they did a great job. And I think that's something to commend. So that makes them a very nice usable unit. You can use them as well because the buff will last up during the duration of this entire event, so it is definitely something to consider. But yeah, no, definitely Potara was pretty good, I would say, on the face of things. Then next up we have the all physical challenge. This one was a little bit more interesting because obviously, although a multiple phase fight with multiple different typings of enemies, there are two crucial stages of the fight against Buu Absorption that I think players do need to understand, and that is obviously the strength phases. So when you are building the all physical team, your first phase is not against strength, and this is to your bonus because you can use that phase to kind of build out and prevent taking a lot of damage, building up your units. Then you have immediately a strength phase. Although not as nearly scary as the final phase, admittedly it does not come at a great time, because you would wish this was a different typing just so you could consider building up one or two of those really solid stacks that'll help you out. But yeah, so obviously you try your best, but I think overall for me, I will say the all physical one was definitely not the ideal one for me. I found it definitely super challenging, which I think shouldn't be surprising. But also, like, I just think the roster of all physical units and the leads you can run them on is incredibly listed. There was a Corroded Body and Mind Super Bosses one that I thought would work for the there's one that I just thought would work basically, but it doesn't matter. We got everything good, and now we'll move on to the final stage, being the Majin Power stage. Now this one has a bit of a gimmick with it because you do have to beat it within 15 turns, which obviously is, I would say at the very least, relatively challenging. Of course, it just depends on the person, but yeah, I would say it's pretty impressive. So now, anyway, the team build here is pretty straightforward. Strength, Big Buu, Physical, LR Buu. We're taking a Tech, Friend, Buu Ultimate Gohan. We have a Tech, Evil Buu, Good Buu combo unit, who's going to be doing the vast majority of, just kind of floating, doing their thing. But yeah, I would say overall, Majin Power just has it's a bit tight. I think I finished mine without a support memory, mind you, but I finished mine literally on 15 turns, which is very tight. You have to basically build up the Buuhan, and you have to build up the you have to build up the Buuhan, you have to build up, that's pretty much it actually. You don't have to build up too much else. I guess you could build up the Big Buu, but you don't really have to. So yeah, basically you need to build up some of those characters, but the timing of these strength phases is pretty, just in general, the Buu team, not so much the timing of the stages, but the toughness of the stages gives them some problems. Your primary damage dealers are the Tech Buus and the physical Buu, and it's not bad. It's not necessarily the best. It's not necessarily the best absolute team of all time. I think Dupes helps. I think Link Living helps a ton. I do think we need a bit more, so to say. But yeah, I think for me, that's probably where I'd let it be. Of course, it was a bit of a tight squeeze, this one. But I think at the end of the day, yeah, we got it done, and that's kind of all that matters. At least, like in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, that's really it for me. That is the last video. There were a couple missions, like I said, mainly to do with time, length, and everything, but I think we met all of them. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. But that's it for me. See you guys in the next one. Till then, take care and bye.